So if you're someone in RuneScape that is looking to get into PvM but still isn't up there at that high level to actually start bossing, then this is probably the guide for you. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys 7 account goals to obtain before you actually start bossing. So there isn't really any specific order in which these 7 account goals are actually ordered in. I kind of just organized it with most important with a combination of how easy or how difficult they are actually to obtain. So starting with the first account goal you should work towards is getting 85 plus combat stats. So this is important for multiple different things. First of all, it's important because then you have the requirements to actually use some pretty decent gear, which we'll get into later. And also you kind of need 85 plus just to battle any kind of bosses. Now 85 plus wouldn't really get you to high level bosses like Araxor, but you could do some God Wars 1, God Wars 2, or Queen Black Dragon, bosses like that. Overall, 85 plus combat stats would just really help you while killing bosses. Anything lower than that would make bosses much too difficult to even be worth killing, especially for money, because your kills per hour will be really low and your XP per hour will be really low. So I would say try and have at least 85 plus before you actually start bossing. And so if you don't really know what I mean by 85 plus combat stats, what I mean is that you want 85 attack, strength, and defense if you're going to be using melee. But if you're using range, you would need 85 range, 85 defense, and same with magic, 85 magic, 85 defense. So try to have at least these stats. If you're really just focused on doing melee, then you can just have 85 attack, strength, and defense, and you wouldn't really need to worry about ranged, but try to have at least 85. It's a good guideline just to look at. And if you guys don't already have 85 plus combat stats, I will be linking a melee combat guide in the description down below, so check that out if you want. The second really important account goal to achieve before bossing is getting curses, which requires 2 things. It requires 95 prayer, and it also requires the Temple at Senistian's quest to be completed. And that quest has a lot of prerequisite quests, so you will need to complete roughly 30 or 40 quests. And here is the list of every quest requirement you will need for that quest to unlock curses. It is a lot of quests, but it is definitely worth it in the end. Now, looking at how much it will actually cost to go from 1 prayer all the way up to 95 prayer, which will give you Soul Split and Turmoil, which are really, really good curses to have. So this will cost 65 million approximately, and this is if you're using Dragon Bones, which are very cost efficient. So overall, curses do require a lot of money to obtain just in the prayer level, and they also require that large list of quests to be completed. So it's a pretty tough account goal, but it's really important for bossing. This next really important account goal is tier 85 plus gear, and this kind of goes along with the first goal, which was 85 plus combat stats. Now, this might be pretty obvious, but I'm just going to say it anyway. You should try and get a higher tier weapon, so weapon should be your biggest priority here. So try to get a tier 90 weapon if you can. If not, tier 85 should be fine. And then try and get at least tier 80 combat gear, so you could get Torva if you're using melee, or you could get Malevolent if you're up to level 90. The best gear is also listed in my melee combat guide, so you can check it out there. I have a whole list of what's the best gear you should wear at every level, so check that video out in the description below. So another really important account goal before bossing is getting overloads, and this would require 96 herb lore. However, you can use boosts on Herblore to get it up to 96. So for an example, if you use the Green Man Owl Mature, then that would boost it by 2 levels. So you could technically get by with 94 Herblore, but just getting to 96 is better. So just like Prayer and the Curses account goal, Herblore is also really expensive to get. You will need, at least 94 Herblore to be able to make Curses. So getting up to that level will require a lot of money, probably around 70 or 80 mil, which is a lot for players that actually can't do bossing. So this skill is best to do over a double XP weekend, just like the one coming up on February 22nd to 25th. But just like curses, overloads are extremely helpful when doing bosses. Alternatively, if you don't have overloads, you can use the Super War Master's Potion. So these work kind of the same, except they don't boost you up as many levels, and the boosts are temporary, so they will slowly decrease over time, whereas overloads are pretty much stay boost that lasts for the full 6 minutes. So overloads are much better, but you could probably get by with Super War Master potions depending on what boss you are killing. Invention is another skill that really helps with high level bosses or any bosses, even PvM. So this is another important account goal to get probably before you start high level bosses. You don't really need it for low level like God Wars 1 and God Wars 2. But if you plan on getting into high level bosses like Araxor or Telos or stuff like that, then it will be pretty much needed. So Invention allows you to attach perks to your weapons, which will give them effects to pretty much just boost your damage per second when doing combat. Now I do have a Invention perk guide that I just made, so that will be in the description down below. In that guide, I show you guys some of the best perks that you can put on your weapons or armor, and I also include some pretty good example setups for you guys in that guide, so check that out in the description down below. It is really helpful, but overall Invention is mostly used for higher level bosses, but it's helpful for any kind of boss, so it's a really important goal to get if you're planning on doing bossing. So the next really important account goal that you guys should try and get is getting some of these locked abilities. And what I mean by locked abilities are abilities that you don't start off with and they have to be unlocked in some kind of way. So some abilities you need to buy using codexes, so you can buy them off the Grand Exchange, and there's others which you may require a quest to be completed, like the World Wakes quest, and how it will give you Death Swiftness and a few other abilities that are really useful for bossing. So getting these abilities are really important, and here's a list of some of the abilities that are really important and how to get them. So here's just a sample of 6 of the pretty good locked abilities that you can obtain. So there's Death Swiftness and Sunshine, which is unlocked by the World's Wakes quest. And these are pretty much ultimate abilities for ranged and magic, and they just boost your damage over time, essentially. And then there's Onslaught, Corruption Shot, Corruption Blast, which is unlocked by the Mazcab ability codex, which currently costs about 18 mil. Corruption Shot and Corruption Blast are pretty much just abilities that deal some pretty good area effect damage. And then there is Devotion, which is unlocked as a rare drop from the God Wars 1 bosses. And then there's also 2 other abilities that come along with this. One is Sacrifice, and then the other is Transfigure. So there are a few other abilities that I'm not going to mention in this little clip, but anyway, the point is that you want to unlock them. Here, these are just some of the better ones that you should probably unlock for lower level bosses. And for the 7th and final tip, I'm going to say summoning is also really important for PvM, and mostly for the Beast of Burdens that you can unlock. So at 52 summoning, you will unlock the Spirit Terror Bird, which is a beast of burden, meaning that it can hold 12 extra items, so it could be food or potions for bossing, allowing you to stay there longer. And then at 67, summoning, you will unlock the War Tortoise, which is 18 spaces, and then at 96, which should be your ultimate goal for getting into bossing, will unlock you the Pack Yak, which will give you the 30 spaces. So summoning is really important, not only for the Beast of Burdens. There's also Nihils and Steel Titans and things like that, other familiars that are pretty useful with bossing. So overall, summoning is a pretty useful skill for any kind of high level PvM. So just to summarize, the 7 account goals before bossing are 85 plus combat stats, curses, tier 85 plus gear, overloads, invention, locked abilities, and summoning. So all of these are pretty important, especially if you're looking into getting into bossing. And you really should look into getting all of these account goals before you start getting into some high level bossing and really getting serious into it. So anyway guys, that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed and it was helpful, and like the video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more RuneScape 3 content. But anyway guys, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.